Hello, this is Dan at LDM Design, coming with a tutorial for the Zen Beat device. A lot of people have been asking me to make this for a while, but I've only just got around to doing it, so sorry for the delay. What I wanted to make with this device was I really liked working with the Euclidean algorithm. I've worked with it before on some devices, but this one has another algorithm we're using. I felt like really working with this kind of algorithms, it made sense to make kind of a big circular interface so that it's visually showing you exactly what's going on, and hopefully it kind of looks cool. So we have two different algorithms we're working with, but we can just work with this completely manually. We can put in notes here. I'm just triggering a drum rack I've got. Of course, we have the speed. So it's a good idea actually to, if you're going to work with it manually, to put it in manual mode, because I can change anything here, but as soon as I change the settings for the algorithm, it's going to just delete everything. If you want to work with it manually, just make sure you set it in manual, then nothing is going to happen. You're not going to lose it. We can change the number of steps. Of course, we want the correct length for the sequence. We can have any number of steps up to 36. So if we look at the main part of the device here, we have at the top, we have these kind of nudge controls. We find like a beat that we like, but the downbeat isn't in the right place, we can switch that up. If we kind of get lost moving around, then we can just come back to the start here. Now, we actually have not just one sequencer, but we have 8 different ones. We can see that the first one is triggering a C1 node. This is the default node for the whole sequence. Each sequence has a default note which is different. This is just going to go up by 1 semitone each time. So, you know, we can put something in here. Everything here is for each individual sequencer. So this one can have its own algorithm. It can be manual. It can have its own number of steps. Because see, as soon as I change something here, I lose it. So we can come up with some kind of really interesting polyrhythm stuff here, polymetric things. Okay, of course we have mute and solo, which is similar to what we have in Ableton. We can stop this track, or we can stop all the other tracks. Okay, let's go back to one. Okay, so let's just focus on here. Now, first of all, let's look at the Euclidean, because I think in some ways it's kind of easy to see what's going on. We have the number of steps, and we're putting in the number of pulses, and it's automatically going to space out those pulses in the most even way possible, okay, using the algorithm. So here, obviously, it's completely even. When we have 3, we can't get an exact even because we only have this number of steps, but here we have like 5 steps here, 5 steps, and then 6 steps. So it's gonna do the best job it can. Here, obviously, it's completely equal. So a lot of traditional kind of rhythmical patterns would kind of follow this Euclidean idea. A lot of the presets here, maybe things which sound familiar to you, very common rhythmical patterns. Maybe some of them not so common. Here we have 9 steps with 5 pulses. So these are all based on Euclidean. All of these ideas and the way that I coded the algorithm for the Euclidean is all based on a really good paper on the Bjorklund algorithm. I'll put that in the link for the video if you like. So another thing which we have here, yeah, each one of these patterns also has its own rotation value. So I just want to flip it back to the start. Okay, let's just go back to this one because I like it. So if we look at the other algorithm, we can see we have the number of steps, we have the number of pulses. Let's make it a bit more. But now it's not going to space them out for you. This controller is going to sort out how we're going to do that. So this one, we can see the interval between the notes is 1. So it's just going to be each note. If we make it 2, then it's going to be jumping 2 spaces between each note. 3 spaces between, okay? Of course, we can come up with Euclidean patterns using this mode, but we can also come up with a lot of other interesting stuff too. So the last note in the sequence here is the last step. So what's going to happen when I make the interval longer? Well, that's going to make the calculated sequence going to be longer than our number of steps. So instead of just stopping, it's going to fold itself back into the circle. So if we look at this sequence, this is the first step in our calculated sequence. This is the second step, this is the third, and this one is the fourth because it's going around again. We can keep moving the interval up and it's going to keep going. Okay, also this might happen because the space is going to hit a place where there's already a pulse that's on. So it's just going to overlap. So we end up with only 2, even though the sequence has 4 pulses. So this is single mode. So when we're calculating the sequence, we're going to go around in a circle like this, all the same direction. If we put it in mirror mode, that's going to be different. Let's just bring it down so we can see. So here, the first step after the initial note is going to go in the clockwise direction, but the next one is going to go opposite. And then we can see, so we're going to end up with kind of a nice mirror image. Let's bring it back to single. Okay. Now, one thing I forgot to look at is what are these red things here? All right. Let's look at that first. Now, this is the velocity. If I want to change that, we can see at the bottom here it's telling me I can hold command or control. Okay, so now if I'm holding that down, I click and drag, I'm going to change the slider here. All right. Now it doesn't matter where I am in the circle. Even down here, if I drag down, that's going to lower it. If I drag up, it's going to raise it, okay? We can also change the notes. Now this is going to set the default note for the whole sequence, right? So we can change the whole thing. But if I want to change individual notes, we can do that too. If we hold shift, we can see exactly what's going on with each note. So when we have like 8 different tracks going on, each of them can have individual notes for each step. We can create a lot of different variations of stuff going on here. Another thing while we're looking at this is that if you hold both of those buttons down, this is going to give you an indication of the length of the step for the duration of the note. So here, if we click and drag, then we can make it a longer note, or we can make it a shorter note. Because I'm using a drum rack, all I'm doing is triggering hits. This isn't going to do anything. If you wanna, you can use this with whatever you like. You can use a synth. If you want to make a melodic sequence, you can do that easily. And this is gonna maybe make a lot more sense using the duration for that. So going back to the velocity, this is gonna be, this is gonna be one way that we can change the velocity. But what if we want to use the same algorithm that's arranging the step sequence to also change the velocity using the algorithm? So if we click this, we can see exactly what's going on. It's going to go through that sequence. It's going to bring the velocity down to 0. So of course, if we change up the interval, then when it comes into the circle, it's not going to be linear anymore, because this is the first note, this is the second, third, fourth. But of course, it's going full velocity, then down, then back up again. So we can create some interesting patterns with that. Okay. Another thing we can change using the algorithm is the note. So this is just another way we can randomize things in a kind of controlled way. If we set the note, now it's going to override whatever I did. Here we have some more controls popping up. Here the interval is spacing between the notes, between the steps. Here we're going to space out between each note in the sequence. So this is going up 1 semitone between each one, right? Of course we can change that. So now it's going to go 2 semitones every time. Now, if we go up one more, we can see that something happened here. If we're going up 3 semitones, this should be C2. But we're limiting this by the range here. This is limiting to 1 octave. Of course, if we were to raise that up, we can see that it's C2 because now the range is higher. We bring it down, we can bring it even further down. So now it's kind of, instead of moving on to the next octave, it's going to loop back into the same octave. Here we're going up and then it's coming back into this range between C1 and C2. So I'm going to turn that off for now, otherwise it will confuse me later. Okay, what if I get a nice pattern? Okay, let's look at this first. Here at the bottom, it says off notes. Now we're going to put all these on notes, and this note here is going to control what we get from that, or from the notes, or whatever. If we select this, it's a very quick way just to kind of fill out that pattern, get those off notes, instead of being off notes, just to trigger a different note. But what if I feel like I want to get in between those notes? Now at this point we're stuck because this is the number of steps, this is the speed, this is the sequence. We can't get in between those notes. But if we wanted to, we could click this one. This is going to increase the, double the resolution. So it's going to double the number of steps. It's going to double the speed, but it's going to keep these on notes in relatively the same place. Oops. Okay. So sounds a bit crazy, but we can see the main notes that we put in there are going to be in the same place relative to what we heard before. Of course, this can't exceed the maximum number of steps. If I try to do it now, it's just going to freak out. It's going to double the speed, but it couldn't double the number of steps because we don't have enough steps. Okay. Okay. Also, another thing we can do, we can duplicate the pattern. Again, if there are enough steps available for us to do that. So this is just gonna double up the pattern. So here's the pattern we just made, and then here it is again. So then of course we can change that up a little bit. If we want to just change, make a little bit more variation, maybe it sounds a bit boring before. Okay, another thing we can do with this one is the invert button. So it's going to switch up all the on notes to off, all the off notes to on. Like this. If you want to do that. Let's put this on. So, the way this works, of course, it's grid-based. We're setting off this sequence and it's firing off using the grid. But, of course, like we can do with the groove tool in Live or something like the MPC, we can put swing. So this is going to loosen it up a little bit. Because we're on 16 here, we can put 16. That's kind of your typical swing. Make it something like triplets. So that's one way we can kind of loosen up the grid, but we can also make it a bit more human. So here we have the humanoise. I didn't give this a high level, maybe it's not so noticeable, but each time it's triggering a step, it's going to calculate a random number to delay that note. Here is the maximum amount. So all of these notes are going to be delayed by anything between 0 and 11 milliseconds. Again, it's another way just to add a little bit of humanization, just to make it feel less robotic. When we talked about the velocity, what I'm setting here is the fixed velocity. But actually it's not totally fixed, because here we've got a randomization amount for that. So each time it hits, it's going to be a little bit different each time, not by a lot. If we change that, no, I'll switch that to a note that doesn't exist. We can change this a lot. We can hear that it's going to be a lot different with the way that it changes the velocity. Again, personally, I like to work with lower values. It gives it that little bit of change, but it's not so noticeable as to sound crazy. We already looked at the note. The duration, these three controls are just going to set the default for all of the things. So now if I change the note, it's all going to come back to C1. Whatever I did, changes here, it's going to come back. Unless I've got this set to change them according to the algorithm. That's going to kind of override this and just use this as a starting point. And now it's going to go back to C1. Velocity, same thing. Maybe I want to make a lot of changes. I can just come back. If I want the velocity to be all the same, we can do that very quickly. The duration, if we look at the duration, let's bring this down. It's getting a bit crowded. So we can see the duration is 1 step, or what I've changed it to. Now, what if I change them all to crazy amounts? Then again, we can come back, we can change the duration back to what it was. Another useful thing we can do the duration is that maybe it's not going to be obvious here, but again, if you're using a synth or something, you can set out your sequence and then you can automatically tell it to change the duration to automatically go until the next note. So if we look what it's at now, it's at 1 step. If we click fill duration, okay, now we can see that each one is just going to go right until the next one. If you want kind of a continuous sequence of notes. Oh, I forgot to look at that. All right. Another thing we can do, as well as using this algorithm to change the notes, or maybe just changing the notes manually, we can use this random notes. Now what this is going to do, it's going to ignore whatever I've done with the note. It's going to ignore this. It's going to just make it so that it's going to fire off a random note every time. Now, again, we're using the same note range from the bass note. So here we can set it to be any random note between C1 and C2. Okay. I don't have a lot of notes in this rack, but if I did, now it's triggering nothing because it's firing off notes that are not included in my drum rack. So, of course, we could have something fixed here. We can have something completely random on another sequence. We can have a different algorithm. We can have a different step length on each one. There's a lot of things we can do here to change it. So there's another thing which I didn't talk about. Obviously, I'm a big fan of using kind of randomization and variation to switch up things a little bit, make things a bit more alive, and make it a bit kind of generative sometimes. So here we can see that what we're seeing here is the velocity. When we hold the control, we're going to change the velocity. But if we switch this, then now we have probability for each step. So by default, it's going to fire every one. So the probability is 100%. Of course, we can bring that down. Now this is at like roughly 50% or something. So you can see sometimes it's going to fire, sometimes it's not going to fire. So we can be a bit more selective. We can have like our base sequence, but then we can have like maybe this will fire off sometimes. Another great way that we can just make it a bit more random, a bit more interesting. It doesn't have to be like firing a lot, firing all the time. We can have a lower amount, or we can say most of the time I want it to fire. Oh, there's one last thing I didn't talk about. Yes, this. Now this is for the modulo mode. Okay. We can see underneath this box what each number is doing. So when we're in modulo mode, we can quickly kind of create a sequence, not by using these controls, but by just firing in some numbers here. So the first number is going to be the number of steps. The next one is going to be the interval, and then we have the number of pulses. Why it says 952? Yes, this is from Euclidean. So if you're in Euclidean mode, we only have steps, pulses, and the rotation. So if I was to press enter in here, okay, let's try that again. Yeah, if you change that, it's going to come up with this. So what happened here is that it created a sequence with 9 steps with 5 pulses, and then it rotated it twice in this direction. We can see if we press this, it's going to change back to other rotation. When we have it in modulo mode, we have an extra thing for the interval. So for example, we can put here like, okay, 16 steps, let's make the interval 2, just to make it obvious we can see it, and the number of pulses 4. And we're not going to put rotation. Rotation is optional. Only if it's not there, it's going to be normal. So we can see that's what it's going to do. We have 16 steps, we have 4 pulses, and the interval is 2. Some people might find this a nice quick way to work with it. So pretty sure that's everything we looked at. If I've forgotten anything, or you still have questions about something, just send me a comment, send me an email. I'll be happy to help you out. Like I said, this device does have a manual, so you can check that. You don't have to keep watching this video. But hopefully I've given you a bit of a better idea of like what's going on with this. Thanks a lot. I hope you enjoy the device. If anybody makes anything using this device, if you make any tracks, please send them over. I'm really happy to hear anytime anyone uses my devices in their tracks. But thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye bye.